Welcome to Whips in the Dungeon. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what I call hyperfocus. Some people would just simply relate this to top space, and I do think it is related to top space. But when you're throwing a whip in the dungeon, in a dimly lit dungeon, the top's focus is very strongly on the target, and everything else is blocked out. And in this particular instance, the target is usually a back or a butt or some body part of the whip bottom that you're playing with. I'm going to use a sheepskin today just to illustrate this, but pretend this is someone's back, and it would shoulders, and their butt would be down here. Another illustration would be just simply to take a t-shirt and lay this over the sheepskin. You can see the size of the t-shirt is about the same size as the sheepskin. So the sheepskin to me makes a good target because you can see the fur move when the whip goes by it. A hanging t-shirt does the same thing. You can see the movement of the t-shirt when it's hanging on a wire hanger. So those are two of my favorite, most realistic human targets, or inanimate targets that represent a human. But back to hyperfocus. When I'm throwing single-handed, I shift my focus. My focus is shoulder, and then butt. So I'm throwing a forward figure eight, but I'm alternating that between shoulders and butt. So that forward figure eight that I'm throwing, just an overhand forward figure eight, I'm hyper-focused on where the cracker or where the fall is going to end up. So right now I'm just throwing shoulders. Shoulder. And then when you get a little more advanced, you can shift from shoulder to butt, back up to shoulder, back down to butt. But literally, when we're talking about hyper-focused, single-handed, I'm hyper-focused on 4 targets and alternating those. And obviously, for less advanced, you would just focus on 2. You might be focused on just the shoulders or just the butt. Then as you're good enough to alternate, you can alternate the height of your target, shoulder, butt. But I say all that because we've been taking a 2-whip journey. So when we move into 2 whips, I've found that having 4 targets or 4 focus areas that I hyper-focus on, it's a little too much going on. So I'm using a little different technique. Actually, it's a technique that Robert talked to the whip group about in our whip practice. We have a monthly whip practice. Everyone's welcome to join us. But with 2 whips, I shift my focus to the center of the back, and I'm really only focused on one area. I'm not worried about the shoulders. So when the whip throws a forward figure eight, it's coming through in an arc, coming back through in an arc. So even though I'm focused on the center, the arc of the whip is going to still cause that whip to fall through or lay onto the shoulders. So I'll show you that. So even though the arc of the whip is coming across both shoulders, and you can see that, my focus, where I'm focusing, is right there. That's where my hyperfocus is, even though the whip's actually gently falling across either shoulder, okay? So if I shifted that to the butt, I would just simply lower my center of focus. So that's where I'm at. I may progress with 2 whips to the point that I can shift my focus as I do with single whips. But 2 whips are a little more challenging, so I'm using a centered focus when I throw 2 whips. Let me know what you think about hyperfocus, or what I'm calling hyperfocus, or top space. So leave a comment, share your thoughts, share how you target when you're throwing the whip in the dungeon, and contribute to the growing conversation in the comments. As always, thanks for watching Whips in the Dungeon.